Hospital porters, pride and dignity. Stop the New World Order. Welcome to HPANWO TV. Well, today, HPANWO TV viewers, I'm in Oxford, in North Oxford, in a district called Cutslow, which is near the far northern limits of the city. And what I'm showing you now is actually a very, very unique place. And it may not look like it. It may look like a very ordinary suburban English street, but it's actually the location, one of the most controversial incidents in all of the history of Oxford. It's one of them, I think it's one of the most unsavoury and distasteful incidents. Certainly one of the most controversial since the Civil War. I'm actually the junction of Wolsey and Carlton Street. To my right, down that road there, is a junction between Wentworth and Aldrich Street. And I don't know if you noticed on my little pan there, the reason why this place is a bit strange. Let me just show you again. This here is Carlton Street, or at least Carlton Street starts about 50 yards from where I'm standing. And basically it's just one road, but Carlton Street becomes Wolsey Street. You notice that those houses over there are sort of quite like a suburban middle class area, what's known as leafy. As you come along here, you can see very suddenly those big sort of like private houses end, and you get long rows heading all the way down Wolsey Road, of sort of early 20th century council housing. See, some of it is newer, some of it's been rebuilt, but basically that's when it dates back to. In fact, I can date it very accurately. Yes. The reason I can date it so accurately is that, I'll turn that around a bit because the sun's in your eyes. The reason I can date it so accurately is because in 1934 this infamous era of Oxford's history began, and there used to be actually a plaque on the wall near where I'm standing, simply with the dates 1934 to 1959. There was no other description because basically the city council is so ashamed of it, and even that plaque is now gone. Someone's taken it. I'm at the site of the Oxford Snob Walls. What happened was, in 1934 the council moved several hundred tenants into the council houses you saw there, and what they did was they actually built a high wall with anti-climbing devices on it and barbed wire fences across the street at the point where the council houses meet the posh houses. And basically they wanted to separate the middle class professionals of Carlton Road from their social inferiors, so to speak, of Wolsey Road. And basically it's something unique certainly in Britain. I mean, you get walls like built across Jerusalem, which is surprisingly similar feelings when I discuss the two. Because, I mean, the Jerusalem wall is sort of like dividing this community, and on the pretext that it can prevent people with bombs strapped around their waist from getting into certain areas, which is nonsense. It's just something similar. And what it was, in 1959 the walls were demolished, and the Oxford Mail ran a feature celebrating the 50th anniversary of the demolition of the Snob Walls, and I wrote an article on HPANWO, which you'll see in the description box below you, which gives it in more detail. I think this is nonsensical, and I mean, I'm not a socialist. I don't believe in forced equality, but to me it really is an obscenity that they would do this, and it's kind of, in a sense, what made people feel uncomfortable. I think this is embodiment of a division that they already knew existed. It is, in a sense, they can go around pretending it doesn't exist. When someone builds a big wall across the street, basically dividing this whole district in two, then you can no longer pretend that it's not there. it all comes down to divide and rule, and I explain it in more details in the article. I'm actually, as I said before, I'm a hospital porter. If I lived in this part of town, I'd definitely be a Wolsey Road man. I could never afford to live in Carlton Street. I currently live in a ex-council semi, and I'm happy to move out of that soon. But I don't suffer from working class envy. I really don't. I don't mind seeing people who are doing better off than me in sense of material possessions and status, because I think these things are distractions and a deliberate diversion from what our life should really be about. And this is the Illuminati of engineered society in this way, and the walls were a symptom of that. I've actually I think that being a hospital porter has really sort of enlightened me in that respect, because you see an awful lot of things that most people don't. Like, you see what happens to people when they die. Most people die in hospital, and when they die, they strip people naked and they wrap them in a sheet called a shroud, and they're placed in a special big fridge on a tray. And I can assure you, right, there's no class divisions on that fridge. Okay, rich people lie right next to poor people, men next to women, Catholics with Anglicans, Jews, black people, they all go together on the same tray. They're all stripped naked with a shroud. There's no possessions with them. It's the ultimate equality. And the thing is, we're all going to end up there one day, every single one of us. And anything you acquire in this life in terms of material possessions, status, power, money, it's something you can only hold for a short time in your hand, and it's gone. Like a Buddhist sand picture, it's wiped out and it's all gone. And you might have spent your entire life dedicated to acquiring these possessions. You may have done some things which you feel quite shameful about, but it wasn't really worth it. When you're lying there knowing that you're about to enter that fridge, ask yourself if it was really worth it. See, the Illuminati don't like us thinking like that. The Illuminati like us thinking, in Western society anyway, that the one goal, capital T, capital O, capital G, of life is that, the acquisition of material power, possessions, money, status. And this is deliberate. Right, well, in 1959 they knocked down the walls, and there's a photograph showing, it's taken virtually from the angle I'm standing on now, looking that way, showing children being escorted by a policeman walking through the wall, and I'll reproduce it in the article, which I've linked below to. And that is a very, very moving sight, seeing that. It really is. As I said, there may actually be more to this than even I can explore in this particular video. For that, I need to turn to other researchers. For instance, my friend Ellis Taylor. And if you go to the HPANWO blog, through the link, you'll see a link to his website, and where you can see all kinds of interesting things. Ellis studies. He's not so keen on the political angle as I am, but he studies more the occult element behind everything that goes on, which is very real, even though I don't go into that in so much detail. The occult element is present here, and it's related to the Snob Walls. Ellis has discovered it's also related to the Oxford Henge. Now, I'll put another link in the description box showing you the film I made about that and the article related to it. There's ley lines coming from that henge, and several ley lines actually intersect near the point where I am now. And they also the same ley line structure actually links to the Culham laboratories, the research laboratories, which I showed you in my Frycraft movie, which I'm sure you must have seen by now if you're a regular viewer. Also, not far from here is Sunderland Avenue, and that's the location that Philip Pullman, the famous Oxford writer, chose to locate his interdimensional portal in his book, in the trilogy of books he wrote called the Dark Materials trilogy, the Golden Compass, the Subtle Knife, the Amber Spyglass. Brilliant novel, one of my favourite books of all time. And the interdimensional Stargate that appears in that book was actually just a few hundred yards from here, on Sunderland Avenue. But that may be nothing. I mean, I can't prove there's a link there, but it's an interesting little side there. You know, Philip Pullman is he's very into and very, very aware of things like this going on, I suspect, from reading his books. Well, that was the Oxford Snob Walls for you. Well, lack of Oxford Snob Walls now, thankfully. Thanks for watching HPANWO TV. Hospital Porter's pride and dignity stop the New World Order.